if you want to build your coaching business to six figures and beyond, this is going to be a really, really useful video for you. If you're stuck around the six-figure mark, the second half of this video is going to be really, really useful video for you, and probably the first half too. Here's why. So just this week, one of my long-term clients came and met me for an in-person deep dive. In these in-person deep dives, we lock in for 4 hours and we go deep into the business. We identify all of the bottlenecks, all of the things that's holding it back from moving forwards, create the solutions, and then they go away and do that thing. This long-term client, I have worked with him on and off over the past 2 years. When we started working together 2 years ago, he had zero business. He had been posting a little bit on YouTube. He had a full-time job still. He had a coaching qualification, and he'd had a few like one-off clients, but nothing more than that. We started working together. He got his offer together. We got his first program started to get built out, and we started to sign up his first clients on this new offer. 2 years later, this week when we met up and started to work together, he's now been able to build this business with my help on and off over this time to six figures a year. And that is all in recurring revenue, by the way. So it's not like six figures from, hopefully big upfront payments every single month. He has built his business purely on recurring revenue. So he's got a recurring revenue business giving him six figures every single year. He is signing up clients really, really easily. He signs $400 per month clients with no sales calls. They literally just go through to his offer and buy automatically. And most months he's signing about 10 to 15 of those every single month. So in this video, I'm going to be going deep into two sides of this. Number one is what I've prepared here, which is how we got him and how he got himself to six figures in the first place. There's three things here, three major steps that allowed him to actually get to six figures and build this business that's allowed him to obviously leave his job and go full-time into the business, traveling really, really frequently, and doing really impactful work that he loves. And on this side, after that, we're then going to go into the three things that have been holding him back from getting further than six figures and how we are solving them. So whether you are trying to get to six figures or you're trying to crush past that revenue level into the next, this is going to be a very useful video for you. So let's get stuck in. His name's Tom, the client, by the way. And Tom has a interesting offer because the promise is all about being able to help men overcome porn addiction, right? He helps men get over porn addiction, and like I said, it sells really, really well, and he does amazing work. Like, I had a look inside the community, and he really is transforming guys' lives with the work that he's doing. Now, the interesting thing about this is on the inside of his program, he's basically got a men's personal development program, right? Because they come in to initially get over their urges to watch porn, get over their porn addiction, and then they stick around for the personal development. And obviously, part of personal development is the getting over porn addiction and other urges and compulsions that might be kind of like leading their behavior. They come in and then they stick around for the overall kind of personal development that they are getting from the program. And I find this really cool and really interesting because a lot of the people that I work with, they want to build like a personal development offer where they're helping people with their general personal development, and they have a really, really, really hard time making sales for it. Everyone loves the idea of, I'd love to just help people become like the best version of themselves, or something that sounds really vague like that. But it's really, really hard to sell. So one of the things that Tom did really, really, really well, and obviously that we worked on together with his offer, is sell the immediate pain first, right? Instead of just selling personal development overall, he has been able to really, really hone in on what is the immediate pain that I can solve, that is the exact present pain that these people are going to be thinking about when they are driving to work, when they're when they're going to sleep and they're kind of like feeling shame or feeling fear or something like this, what is the exact thing that they're thinking about that we can say that we solve at the very beginning? And for Tom and for his guys, it is porn addiction. And that is the thing. The immediate pain is the exact thing that drives a huge amount of, or all of the sales. And then they stick around for the personal development stuff on the inside. Now, Tom didn't do this to build a personal development program. It always is personal development, of course, but he didn't do that as a way to be able to sign up people for personal development. He was already just wanted to get into the market to help people get over porn addiction. But it's really useful, especially for those more broader offers. Those of you that are listening right now with a broader offer, you can get really married to this idea of like wanting it to be broad and impact everything, and you want to be seen as someone that can impact everything, but it's really hard to get that to sell. But when you can kind of leave that aside and hone in to the one specific immediate pain that they're already aware of that you can solve for them, you will get more sales. They will come in and then they will stick around for the long-term vision. So it looks a bit like this, right? You sell the immediate pain, they come through, it looks very, very specific. And then on the other side, they start to see this long-term aspiration, who they can become, why this is all important to them. And then they will stay in the program for the long-term aspiration, and you can start to serve them on so many other things. So number one, if you're below 6 figures right now, and potentially even if you're above, and sales are slow, sell the immediate pain first. What is that immediate pain that they're aware of? A lot of the time, this is more of an ego thing for coaches, that they need to accept that you don't just kind of get what you want, and you do have to play around some of the things that you say to match what people will actually buy. So sell the immediate pain first and understand that that gets them on the long-term journey on the inside. So the second thing that Tom has done amazingly is he has stuck to one big idea for 2 years plus, right? He has stuck to the same exact thing this entire way through. And a lot of coaches struggle with this, and I've definitely been guilty of this as well. A lot of coaches struggle with this because they will start to jump from idea to idea. They will get a little bit bored of talking about the same thing, and they'll start to talk about something else. But the problem is, when we do this, is we are just diluting our own message and diluting what we are known for. And one of the most important things that we can be aware of and we can think about as we get into the market is, what are we known for? So the second thing that Tom did amazingly to be able to build his business to 6 figures is he had one big idea. This was the one solution for guys to overcome porn addiction and other compulsions. And constantly, every single YouTube video he puts out, every single podcast he puts out, it's all based around this one big idea. He even does videos where he talks about why his mechanism, his big idea, his way of doing things is better than all of the other solutions that are out there. But everything that he puts out goes back to this one big idea. So that's why he has guys from all over the world who are completely bought into his big idea, willing to go through his funnel and pay him £400 per month without ever speaking to him, because he sold them on the thing that they need to be sold on, which is the one big idea. So the second thing for you, if you're under 6 figures or potentially even if you're above, is what is your one big idea? What is your one big piece of positioning that you're taking in the market? What are you being known for? If you're going all over the place with all of the different things that you possibly do and can be known for, it's going to be really, really hard to make a name for yourself in the market. We need to think about the fact that the market is a very, very, very noisy place. The easier we make it for us to be categorized as, oh, that is the something guy, that's the email guy, that's the the steps guy. If you was a fitness coach and you took this big idea of like, you only need steps for fat loss, for example, you'd become the steps guy. We want to actually make it easy to be categorized. We don't want to be the same as everyone else, but we want to make it easy for someone to say, oh, they're that guy, that kind of person, right? Because when we do that, we can stick out in people's minds and we can be easily understood in this noisy, loud environment where a lot of the time it's hard to get people to actually take notice, right? So the second thing he did was stuck to one big idea. And the third thing that he's done over this last 2 years is consistent long form content, which has built him a small but powerful audience. Tom's got a tiny audience. It is not that large. I think he's just got over 1,000 subscribers just recently on YouTube. He does YouTube, podcast, and email. He doesn't do anything else. He doesn't do any other like social media or anything else. He just turns up and he does long form content every single week. And over the 2 years, it's been the exact thing that's been able to build him this tiny but really powerful, really highly connected to him audience that buy a load of the things that he puts out. Because together we've worked on running workshops as well and things like this, and they're constantly being bought up and selling out. Even with such a small audience, I've literally got other clients that have like 70,000 Instagram followers who can't sell a thing when they do campaigns to that audience because yes, it's huge, but they're not connected to them and it's not built in this intimate way. So Tom has done an amazing job of, one, simply staying consistent with his message and consistent with actually producing long form content, because it's kind of easy to grow with short form content, but long form content that builds a relationship. And he's also just done a really good job of being consistent as it is. So the tip here for you, if you are under 6 figures or even if you're above 6 figures, especially for this one, is number one, if you're not producing long form content when people can really feel you and can really see that you know what you're talking about, well, then you should be. And the sooner that you jump on that, the better. The only time that I would say maybe you don't need to is if you signed up less than 3 clients in your life ever, because there's probably immediate sales that you can go out and get. If you're above that, you should be creating long form content because you want to be able to show people who you are, what your energy is like, and that you actually know your stuff. The second thing that I think is really important to say here, before we move on to his problems and what we need to solve for him, the second one is the way that he's actually been consistent. Because not a lot of people are consistent with the same thing time and time and time again. And actually, if you see from both of these, there's a bit of a pattern here. He's been consistent with the one big idea and he's been consistent with long form content consistently. It's because he truly, truly, truly believes in what he's doing and what he does. Like he truly believes in his big idea. He's got one mechanism. And by the way, I'm being quite mysterious about who he is because he doesn't want me to tag him or anything like that. And I'm respecting his privacy. So I'm not saying anything about his actual offer. But he's got one mechanism that he truly, truly, truly believes in. And by the way, he believes in it because it changed his own life. And that's why it's so easy for him to stick to the big idea, because he's not come at it from a point of like, what can I say that will sell people? He's come at it from a point of what is going to serve people. And then he's been able to be so consistent with his long form content and doing it because he really cares. Like he really cares about the content that he's putting out. He really cares about helping his audience, helping the world. And in the conversations that I've had with him and coaching him and everything else, like it really shows. So the final part, and obviously if you want to be able to get to 6 figures, is going to require consistency. And one of the main things, and that's consistency in your message and how you're showing up, and consistency about just showing up in general and staying in the game. And one of the best ways, or potentially the only way to do that, is by actually caring about what you're doing and the impact that you're giving to the world. So they are the 3 biggest things that Tom did to take him from 0 to 6 figures. Now let's look at the other side, because as I said, he got in contact and, like I said, we've worked together on and off for a while now. So he just wanted to meet me for 4 hours, deep dive, going deep into the business and improving it and getting it past this kind of like cap. And that's exactly what we did. So before we get into the steps, I'll give you a bit of context. His biggest problem was basically 2 things. He was signing up all of these clients, but his retention wasn't the best. And by the way, it wasn't not good because he was not a good coach. That's not the case. It wasn't not good because his program wasn't good. That was not the case. And it wasn't not good because people weren't getting results. That wasn't the case. It was actually the complete opposite of all of those things. He was signing up all of these people so consistently, almost on autopilot, right? But when they came in, his way of getting them results and getting them off of the porn addiction was so powerful that they wouldn't have to stick around very long. like they would be done very, very soon, or they at least thought they were done very, very soon, because they completely felt like all of the urges were now gone, that they would, feel like it was time to leave. So the two things that we really, really needed to look at and improve to get him past six figures now, because his acquisition is absolutely fine, his marketing is absolutely fine, it is improving his program so that he can increase retention and keep more clients around longer, because he did have this group of clients that would stick around for ages. We just needed to find or create more of those. And second is increasing the lifetime value of the clients that are coming through. Obviously, that can be done via retention and keeping them around longer, but there's other ways to do that as well. And then the final third extra one that we were looking at as well is how can we convert more of the audience that he already has got and increase the lifetime value of those people as well. So they were the three levers that we needed to pull to actually get him crushing past the six figures mark and continuing to be able to grow. So let's start at problem number one. Well, not problem number one, but solution number one. So problem number one was his retention, right? They would come in and they would get what they want. And this happens a lot with fitness coaching as well. They get what they want. They think they're done. And very often they're not actually done, right? But these clients would think that they're done because now the urges and the compulsions had disappeared, and they would leave. So we sat down and we looked at his program, and I said this: you want to think less like you have a program and more like you're inviting your clients to an operating system. Because when we think program, we think linearly, right? If you're creating a program, you think quite linearly. You think, okay, they're going to come in here, they're going to go through this, we're going to have contact here. They're going to go through this happens, and then, then they're done. And then inside of this program, what do you think? You think, what are the support structures that are going to be in place? What are the channels in which they can get support from me and get help from me? Where are the parts that I'm going to help them customize for themselves? Where are the parts that they're going to do it themselves? This is kind of what we think when we create a program. Instead, most of us, unless it's a completely one-to-one program, most of us want to actually think operating system. We want to think about our program as an operating system. We want to be inviting people into our operating system, which is the program. And we want to create such a system and a structure that people are able to plug themselves into that, number one, it supports their goals and the place that they want to get to and who they want to become. It supports all of that so well and so powerfully that they don't want to leave even once the immediate result is got. And number two, and this is a big one, we want it to actually shift their behavior on a daily and a weekly basis so dramatically that if they were to leave, their behavior would again feel like their experience of their life on a daily and weekly basis would change. So if you've got a problem with retention right now, which, by the way, sometimes improving that is the biggest thing you need to do to actually start to grow. If you've got a problem with retention right now, look at your client experience. Are they just joining a program, or are they actually entering and plugging into an operating system? How often are they actually utilizing your program on a daily and a weekly basis? And how can you increase the amount that they're actually engaging with your program on a daily and weekly basis in a way that actually serves them and their goals as well? So with Tom, we sat down and we looked at every single support structure that he has, and we really, really ramped it up without taking more of his time individually with clients. We really ramped up, when they're going to check in, when they're going to do different things, when they're going to be held accountable for different things. And then if they don't do those things, the consequence, like what's going to happen, how's the system of Tom to be able to see what clients are checking in at what points and what clients are skipping things, so then him or his VA can go and message them and staying on top of them, right? So the first big shift that we had was changing from a linear program to a operating system that people can plug into, and it shifts the way that they behave on a daily and a weekly basis. So the second one comes back to the same problem. The problem was that people would join, and Tom's methodology was so powerful that within the first month, they felt like they had already done whatever they needed to do. Well, they've already got over the porn addiction, and they were ready to leave. In reality, as I've said, it feels like that. This is what I got from Tom, but there is a high likelihood of falling off if the support structures are not there. So we needed to think of, well, how could we keep people inside the program so they can stick around inside of this new operating system that we've created long enough for the changes to truly stick, so they are truly beyond this addiction for life. And it was this little mindset shift that Tom needed to see, which was one problem solved equals one problem created. Solve the next one. I had to remember what I wrote there. Solve the next one. So solve the next problem. Here's the reality, right? In all of our coaching, all of our businesses, whenever you solve one problem, you always open a new problem, right? That's just the way that's just human nature. This is why so many humans, the ones that don't do the inner work or they don't meditate and stuff like this, and they're not careful, are just constantly chasing different things. And one thing one thing goes away and then they chase the next thing. Like, this is kind of just human nature. We're always chasing something, right? If you solve one problem, another one appears. And I'm not saying problem in like in a hugely painful, horrible way. It's just like something that people want to solve or something that people want to improve. So the way that this looked for Tom was they came in to solve their porn addiction or their feeling of watching too much porn, right? But why did they want to do that in the first place? Well, and this was in the discussion with Tom, they wanted to do that in the first place because they wanted to better themselves. They wanted to better their life, right? The reason why the porn was a problem for them is because it was holding them back from being the man they wanted to be and being able to create the life that they wanted to create. So porn wasn't the be all and end all of everything. It was just what they believed to be the first kind of door to get through to become this better, more improved man, and to be able to build this life that they are proud of and become this person that they're proud of, right? So what we needed to do was also, inside the program, create the structures and the pathway and the aspirational identity necessary to actually support that next problem as well. Because if we can actually get them over the porn addiction so fast, well, then they actually are trying to get over the porn addiction to have all of those other things, right? Become the man they want to be, build a life that they're proud of, everything else. So the second thing that we needed to do was to look at, okay, once they come in and we've taken them through the first process to get them off of the porn addiction and to do the things that they do, what's the second journey that we can now take them on with a second kind of aspirational identity they can aspire to become in terms of all around this becoming the man that they want to become and building this life and everything else. And again, how can we make the operating system something that is going to support that journey as well? So even once they are over the addiction and the thing that they came from initially, they're actually going to stick around because this program, this operating system that they've entered into, is actually elevating their life so much more than the money that they are spending. So they are the two big things that we did when it came to actually being able to improve the retention and actually also improve just the life-changing results that he's able to get with his clients that are joining. And that brings us on to the final thing that we did, the final thing that was going to take Tom to crush past the six-figure mark, and that is to build multiple tiers. So this was actually a reason why he joined, or a reason why he came to the in-person day in the first place, because I was talking about having multiple tiers a lot, and he knew that it was something that he needed. When I say multiple tiers, I mean having one offer, but multiple tiers of access, having lower tiers, higher tiers, really, really intimate tiers, and then also having things around that you're able to sell as well, such as me selling the in-person deep dive is kind of an example of having a multi-tier offer stack, right? When we have multiple tiers, it does a few really, really good things for our business. Number one, I can't read it from this way. Number one, we get more profit. Like, we're able to generally just make more money when we have more tiers, because there are going to be people in your audience and even people in your client base right now who are willing to spend with you 2 to 5 times more than you're currently charging them. So you are able to actually take that when you have multiple tiers. There are also people in your audience and maybe even in your client base right now that will never pay your normal fees, or they'll never pay it for a long period of time. But if you had a lower tier that they could enter, they would either be able to pay you and they wouldn't have before, or they'd be able to pay you for way, way, way longer and stay in your world for way longer, and you'll make more profit. The second thing, which is pretty much the same thing, is more lifetime value. Same again, right? When we are creating clients, and this was the big thing for Tom, right? He was actually creating a lot of clients, but we needed to improve his lifetime value. The way to improve a client's lifetime value, which is, by the way, their value to you in their entire lifetime of being a client, how much they pay you overall, is by keeping them around longer, getting them to buy more things, or getting them to pay you more, right? So the way that we do this is by having multiple tiers. So we can take a handful of those and get them to pay you more. And the final thing is more audience conversion, because when we only have one price point, which was what Tom had, by the way, when we only have one price point, we have to kind of put our pricing and set ourselves up in a certain point in the market, and that means that everything to the left and the right of that we miss out on. I've written it a bit here, right? So here's how here's how any pool of people are ever going to work, especially your audience, especially your client base, right? There is going to be this is the volume of people. So over here is more volume of people, over here is less. And this is their max amount that they will ever spend with you in their lifetime, right? There is loads of people over here that will spend barely anything with you, but they'll spend something, but there's loads of them. And then there is a tiny amount of people here that will spend loads of money with you, but there's a small amount of them. When we only have one price point, we can only monetize one slice of this, right? There's only one slice we're able to monetize. And Tom was probably about here with his price point, right? This is the only section of the market that he's able to monetize. And maybe he'll get some people jumping from here to here because they really want to, and then they'll leave really early. Maybe he'll get some people jumping from here to here, but then they'll leave because they want to spend more and they want more intimacy. So he's only ever really monetizing here. So we started to create multiple tiers so he could monetize all of this high volume of people with lower price point, and then be able to actually upsell them to here. And then we were also looking at how could we actually have an option where people can pay you way, way, way more up here. So some of these people that you're already signing up, maybe these people, and they can pay you 3 to 5 times more. So that was the final thing we did. Multiple tiers, so we could keep people around longer, we could get them paying us more and getting them paying us less, and actually sign up a way higher percentage of his audience. So they are the things that we did with Tom to, number one, get him to 6 figures, and number two, now going to be getting him past 6 figures. If you want help on this too, go down below, and whatever link is down below, you will be able to go through there and see what it's like to work with me.